All right, hello everyone. This is Sir Adrian here, stepping in for Scullion to film the British Empire's turn in our current game of Global War 1914, Operation Bersaglieri, for the spring of 1916. So very quick, two small housekeeping items. The Germans had said they purchased phosgene gas. However, Germany does not have phosgene gas unlocked on the check chart. They're only at chlorine gas. I know they had tried to get to phosgene gas maybe once or twice, not this past turn, but I think before that, but missed that roll. So it would have been chlorine gas they purchased for 2 IPPs. Furthermore, where they had placed it with the 86th Army, which in my case is the 8th Army, they already had a chlorine gas marker. There's nothing that says you can't place 2 in a territory, but it's kind of pointless in a way because you can't use them twice in the same round. I suppose if you want to stockpile them there, you could always have them so you could use it one round and then on a following turn use it again. But yeah, it would be a chlorine marker. So either it could stay with the 86th Army just outside Petrograd and you'd have 2 of them there. Or you could put it into Bavaria, as that's the only other place where he really would want to place it, or where it would make sense to place it. So I'll go ahead and put it there for now, and we'll see if that can be, or if that needs to be changed, MP7. Let me know, and I can change that. Aside from that, China. So, it has to be updated in the TTS file, but I went and placed the missing units that were forgotten by B-Guest. So there should have been an infantry in Qinghai, as well as a militia and an infantry, or a cavalry, sorry, and a militia in Western Manchuria. Once again, super easy to forget those, but definitely important to triple check before anything else. Before purchases and anything else that the nationalists do on their turn, double check that you've in order placed any units from the Chinese warlord era random event deck, or done any attacks that you have to do, mandatory offensives and all that stuff in the order that the cards were drawn, because it definitely is quite important and can influence the outcome of the conflict there if not done correctly. So definitely super important to remember that. Aside from that, there was a little bit of a mix-up. So there ended up being, and I have it changed here already, but there ended up being 4 infantry coming from Shantung, 1 from Sichuan, and an artillery attacking a militia, cavalry, and 2 infantry from the Zhili. This infantry ended up retreating in the battle. There was a first strike hit that was got with the artillery, as well as one of the infantry. So there was 2. You ended up having 2 of the militia and the cavalry, rather, were removed. 1 in the first strike, 1 in the other hit that was gotten. And the 2 surviving infantry got 1 hit. So we removed 1 of those infantry. But then B-Guest continued the battle. However, it should have ended because it was the fall-winter. So you should have had the 3 remaining infantry that didn't retreat go to Hunan province. The artillery moved to Nanking. So there should have been 2 infantry left in Shantung. Tintin had one of them retreat into Hopei. However, we'll assume that the other one would have retreated as well. So again, I'll make sure that's updated in the TTS file, but there should be 3 infantry in Hopei as opposed to just 2. So there's that. And then the other thing, I don't have it exactly up to date here, and I'll have to try and watch the video again. It was a little hard to watch as the audio again was not in sync. and BGuest video and all that. I'm not too sure why it's odd that has that issue. But anyways, the Americans had sent the nationalist what he called supplies. However, the Americans can't send the nationalists supplies. So if you look on the Republic of China / nationalists national reference sheet, the Allies may send supplies to the nationalist forces for 2 IPP if Japan has not declared war on China, which they would do normally if they're Central Powers. In this case, however, the Americans are technically still not part of the Allies as they're neutral, so they wouldn't be able to send those. However, when they hit 20 IPP, which they did, and in fact, they should actually be at 22. They should have been at 19, which I don't think that was updated from when Germany attacked Switzerland the last turn, and they went up 3 this turn, so they should actually be at 22 and not 21. So I'll have to update their IPP amount, and they spent all their 20 that they had from the previous turn because they had some money saved, I do believe. But anyways, so yeah, they would have been able to lend lease, however, any type of unit to the nationalist Chinese. So I think with the supplies, he had placed the mountain infantry BGuest somewhere, or had upgraded one of the infantry to a mountain infantry. Again, I'm not really sure. I'd have to look over things again to see how that might have to change. But regardless, the American purchases shouldn't have to change, so they could still, instead of sending supplies, lend lease a mountain infantry to the nationalists for 4 IPP. And then the nationalists, I do believe, themselves had 6 IPP and purchased a mountain infantry as well, and I think saved 2. So that's something I'll have to go and double check again at some point and update everything. Again, it's not exactly up to date on here. And there's a few extra units that were placed as well. I'm kind of confused on how those got placed. I'm not sure if he thought that the supplies allow you to place multiple units or how that mistake was made, but I'll double check everything and make sure that the correct types and amount of units as well as their locations are placed for the nationalists. And of course the supplies, the lend lease would have to either end up in Kwangtung or Nanking is where it would have to stop. So at one of those major ports there. And it's definitely important going forward to distinguish between the two because there are major differences. For example, the supplies, which the Central Powers can send as well to one warlord, they can only be used for certain things. So either to upgrade one militia to an infantry, one infantry to a mountain infantry, or to create a militia. The cost can also be shared between members of the same alliance. So that 2 IPP cost, which you can't do with Lend-Lease. And you could also only send 1 per calendar turn. So for example, myself as the British now, I will spend 2 IPP total to send supplies to the nationalists. So then France or myself as the Russians later on couldn't do that again this calendar turn because you've already sent supplies. And unlike Lend-Lease, they can't be intercepted or blocked by other factions. So there's definitely some key differences. So definitely important down the line to say, as the Americans anyways, that they're Lend-Leasing and not sending supplies just to avoid confusion because there are some important differences there. So I think that's it. This video is getting a little bit longer, so I think what I'll do, like I do a lot of times with the housekeeping ones, is I'll end it here. I'll make sure those things are updated, and then I will be back shortly to film the, as I said, British Empire turn for Seb Scullion, who I'm stepping in for. So I'll be right back with that.